Hello everyone. So in this video we want to introduce the breadboard. So as you could see here we have the Jameco Value Pro breadboard. So in the breadboard is a board that we use for prototyping any electrical circuit. So as you could see, there is too many holes on the board. So the holes that you see on these raw, it's actually clarified with red and blue. So these actually holes all connected to each other. So that means if you put any electronic component in these two holes in one column that you see here, definitely you connect that two pins to each other. So same thing here. So whatever you see, all these red column connected to each other, all these blue column connected to each other. There is no connection between these two. That means whatever you see on the red and blue. So you see the same thing. Technically, this is 1, 2, 3, 4 breadboard, and we could say 4.5 breadboard. So whatever you see here on the each side of that, so the column is connected to each other. You see these green and blue everywhere in these 4 board that you have, and also here on your left side too. So the same thing. So again here, all these columns, red column and also the column in the blue, they are connected to each other. Okay. So you have actually some holes, which is here and here. So see these two locations, similar things for the other section here to here, here, and here. So in these sections, so the holes is just connected in one row, not column. So that means whatever you see here in these actually 5 holes, they are connected to each other. If you put 2 pins in one row, so that means you connect that 2 pins to each other. So again, these row connected to each other, these 5 is connected to each other. There is no connection between these holes and the holes in other side. So that means these 5 connected to each other, but they are not connected to these row that you have in the other side. Okay, just 5 row connected. Same for all the boards that you have, these 5 to each other, these 5 to each other, these 2, 5 each other, and there is no connection between these two parts that you see. So for digital lab, usually we use the TTL IC and we need the 0, which is ground, and 5 volts. So as you could see here in this side of your board, you have some terminals. So we use 2 of them. So definitely you need just 5 volt. You could connect your 5 volt. You could have the external power supply, which is give you a 5 volt. You connect 0 to here and 5 volt here. So that means in these 2 wire that you take it, you have 0 to 5 volts. So that means the voltage of this point and to that point is 5 volt. For any experiment that you need to in the lab, you need 5 volts. So definitely you need that 5 volt external power supply to actually power your TTL ICs and do your experiment. So there is another simple way to get that 5 volt if you don't have the external power supply. So as you probably know, the USB port is giving you a 5 volt, right? You could actually find any USB port. You just cut one side of that. So see, this side is USB. So if you cut the other side of the wire, inside that you see actually 5 small wires. So there is 2 wire, which is one is the black and the next one is red. So that means these are give you a 5 volt. So that means you just need to connect this side to any USB port. It could be your computer or any other USB ports. If you connect these to your computer, so whatever you have here in this red and in this black and red wire, it gives you a 5 volt. We connect the ground to here, the red is here, then use these wire and connect these 5 volt to one of these columns and the ground to the another one. So that means we get the 5 volt from the USB port. So we connect this ground to this column. If you connect to this column, so that means that all these column have that ground. So, and the positive 5 volt connected to this column, one of these column, the red column. So that means that all these column have the 5 volt. So then you could actually put that anywhere in this 4 board that you have. So see, You connect the ground of these with these wires, so that means these two blue column connected to each other. And also you use these wire, you connect these red to these red, so that means here and here in the red column, both connected to each other, both have the 5 volt. So then you use these two wires that you see. So you connect the 5 volt positive to this column and the negative to this negative. So somehow you transfer these 5 volt to all these raw that you have. The blue is ground and the red is 5 volt. Then again you use these two wire, again blue to blue and the red to red, so that means you transfer 5 volt here and you have the 5 volt in all these column. If you connect the ground to these blue and the red to these 5, you could use that 5 volt anywhere with any IC that you want to feed it. So again, same thing, you connect to use two wire, connected blue to blue and these red column to this red column. That means you have 5 volt in this whole column, red and blue column. Do the similar things, ground to here and the 5 volt to here, red to red column, blue to blue column with these two wires. So that means here is 5 volt too. And similar thing, connect the blue to blue, red to red, and again you have the 5 volt here. So what's happened here, it means you just take these USB port, you take 5 volt and you actually feed these 5 volt in every red and the blue column in the whole these board, and you could use these 5 volt anywhere that you need. So right now through these 5 volt, I have actually 5 volt in any of these red and blue columns, and I could use that 5 volt anywhere here in the board wherever we have red and these blue columns that we have. We have the same thing here. We have 5 volt here, 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 and 5 volt here. So that means the 5 volt is in the all over your board and you could use that. So if you don't want to the USB, which is I recommend to do that, it's make your work very simple. You don't need to take care of the power supply. You just connect to the PC and do that. If you don't want to have these USB port, you just have the external power, connect the negative to here, ground here, 5 volt to here, do the same wiring. So that means you get these 5 volt and distribute that to all these red and blue columns in all over your breadboard. So why we are doing that? This actually make your work more simple because you use too many ICs in the different experiment that we have in the lab. So you somehow put the 5 volt available if you put any IC anywhere. So definitely you could find the closest column to that IC and somehow use that 5 volt to feed your IC that you use in your experiment.